Okay, we're finally ready to discuss the put, which is actually the gameplay of our games. So I modified this a little bit. I modified my requirements to match the code I've written, and also changed the put a little bit, just so that the URI would match and that the request body would contain game the way that post was written. So put is going to be structured the same way. The request body will contain the JSON object necessary to convey the game information, which in turn will be turned into a game, and then the return will rerun. So we get the game from our game API, and if it matches, game API will come back not null, otherwise it will return null. And then game API next turn, and either one of these will return the get turn, and that's just returning the turn object created by this API directly here. So if either the game is not found or the last turn has been run, then we will return a response status exception. This used to be difficult in Spring, and they've reworked this to make it a lot easier with these standard exceptions that come from the Spring namespace. They're standard in Spring, response status exception, and then all the HTTP status codes, which are standard, in this case 404, not found. Remember 200 is correct. All of those are embedded in, automatically when this returns. It's one of the things that it does. I want to point out again, this is very Java-like, right? We're not thinking about serialization. We're not thinking about a lot of things that Spring and Spring Boot are doing for us. So the serialization code, normally that would be wired. In Spring, you can do the explicit wire in Java EE. You do the explicit wiring. It's easy. You do library calls, but you need to do that explicitly, where Spring Boot is just assuming a lot of the standard behavior, including providing for us this response status exception in this package that will be good for virtually anything we want to tell to the client, and in the standard way using HTTP, official HTTP response status codes, which we should be doing. Okay, so let's see this. Let's run this in Postman, see if it works. Run the server. So with the brand new server running, when I run get, of course, empty, I will post a new game. You can save your requests, by the way. Make sure you do that. Save your requests. That way you don't have to rewrite them every time. You can just use them again. That's one thing that's nice about this. We got it worked. I'm actually going to create a couple of games here. 1, 2, and 3. And the third game. Let's test this real quick with our get. And we have the array with the 3 names in them. And then I will create a new request. Wrong area, I think. No. Add request. Put game. So here we are. I'm going to save this real quick, even though I haven't changed anything. Change this verb to put. Our game should pop up. And of course I need to put my request body in raw format, picking JSON, curly braces, game in quotes, also has to be in quotes. And if this runs, it should run our turn. Okay, there we go. Add 4, multiply 4. Remember that simplified API? And there we go. All right, it's run out of turns. Let's try 2 should be available, still with fresh turns. And remember, that was a random number generator that returned how many turns were possible. So we don't know exactly. There we go. And then I'll try a game that doesn't exist. So then I should get the same. Actually, did it create it? Maybe it did. Huh. I'll have to check the wiring there. but that is behavior that I did not expect. They probably created it along the way. I have a little bit of work to do on my API to get it working up to spec. I don't think I'm going to demonstrate the delete, for example. And there was a bug that we just discovered there with the put, but you can see how I've tried my best to get our desktop API, Unigame API, working in the context of REST API using these verbs and these URIs. Thank you.